Welcome back to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. We were cut off in part one. It is still Thursday. It is still episode 120-something, but we're going to have part two starting right now. I think we're good to go. We've got Adam as the host back on the Zoom call. We just got done in part one talking about the World Series and the point guards and the Mount Rushmore point guards.
And let me apologize because I'm pretty sure that was my computer, and let me tell you why I think that happened. Zoom kicked me out of the meeting, and it said, you need to close some applications on your computer, because I had a basketball reference page pulled up for all 9 guys, a separate one for all 9 guys that we were talking about in our Mount Rushmore point guards. By the way, if you're listening to just this part, I know that Mount Rushmore is only 4. We talked about 9.
We talked about 9 because that's what we did. Not only did we just kind of throw out who the bottom 5 would be, Adam continued to give us statistics of LPS percentage and TQR percentages and field goal to turnover ratio, which is a new one I never heard before. Field goal to turnover ratio, which was good for point guards. So it was a lot of fun. And now we are here to the thing that Adam would prefer to do the fastest on the Nosebleed Sports Podcast, which is our NFL Picks of the Week. We're in week 7 and still do not have a bet for our overall picks.
Yeah.
And I'm getting kicked, right? I'm down 2 going into this week, right?
Going into last week, I think you were down 2 games.
Yeah.
Last week was week 6. I went 2-1. You went 1-2. So now I'm 7-8, and you're 4-11.
Oh, I'm 3 down.
3 games.
Oh, I'm 3 down. So I'm ready for the bet. I'm ready to make the bet because I play better under pressure, right? Okay. I play better under pressure. I need something to affect this. So by this time next week, we will have a bet. If you're listening, please hit us up. In a comment if you're on YouTube or one of the podcast platforms that have comments, or hit Adam up on Twitter at
Adam Schmidt 44
or at Sickwittit, SICWHITTIT for me. Hit us up there. You can go to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast Facebook page. Send something there. We need a bet. We need a good bet. The good friend of the show, Joe Leonard, usually comes up with something pretty good for us. But we need something good. We need somebody out there to give us something good. If not, I'm going to think of something, and Adam's not going to like it.
Just something that popped into my mind.
Let's hear it.
Maybe what if the bet is the loser has to pick either their least favorite athlete of all time, a guy you can't stand, or one of your least favorite, and sort of write like a report, like a book report almost on him, and either just a report on him, or it has to be all positive, like an all positive. Let me fine tune that when I say book report.
I didn't do book reports in school.
I know. And neither did I really. At least the older I got. Like when I was really young, I probably did. But when I was in high school, I mean, come on, no. And did I ever actually fully read Johnny Tremaine in 7th grade? No, I still don't know. I know he had a bum arm. That's all I know. That was the coolest part of the book. So,
is that a Matt Christopher book?
No.
Matt Christopher was my dude. I had like 37 Matt Christopher books.
Yeah, same.
Greatest sports writer of all time.
Yeah, hard drive to short, it doesn't get beat.
Kid with the glass arm. Catcher with the glass arm, I think is what it was. There you go. Anyway.
Matt Christopher and R.L. Stine, the Goosebumps books, right?
Yep. Right.
Yep. So, I don't know. Let me now I'll take a week and see if I can figure out a better way to figure out that idea, or we'll come up with a better one. Anyway, it's just popped into my mind when you were talking about that. Just want to throw it out. So, for this week 7, picking against the spread. Would you like to go first?
Sure.
Or would you like me to go?
No, I'd love to go first.
Okay.
I feel like I make you go first all the time, so I'll go ahead and jump in and go first this week. Week 7 of the NFL tonight, because we're doing this on Thursday. We can't do the we can't do the Eagles-Giants game on Thursday Night Football, and the Giants are beating the Eagles by 11. What is up with this Eagles team?
Is this going to be the lowest rated Thursday Night Football game of all time?
Every Thursday Night Football game is terrible, like in the history of Thursday Night Football. Okay, so getting started, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start in Cincinnati.
Oh.
And if you're going to make a turnaround, you got to do it right. Cleveland is laying 3 in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals lose by 1 in this game.
Oh.
I'm taking the Bengals. Hooday, baby.
Okay.
And after that, I'm going to enjoy a quick view of the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. The Bills are laying 12.5. I'm taking the Bills. The Jets may not score a point the rest of the year. And last but not least, I'm going with 2 big favorites this week. I'm going with the Chiefs over the Broncos. Mine laying 9.5. I think the Chiefs blow them out, and I think the Bills blow out the Jets. I'm taking the two biggest spreads of the week. I don't do that very often, sir. I don't do that very often.
Yeah. Did you say? Let's see. The last one was
Chiefs.
Chiefs at.
I think so. Yeah, Chiefs are in. That's where are they at? Oh, they're in Colorado. It's the Colorado Broncos.
Colorado Broncos, and Kansas City was favored by
9.5.
9.5. That's what it was yesterday when I looked at it.
Well, that means Adam's taking the Chiefs Broncos game.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
All
right. So who is Adam taking?
So Adam's taking the Chicago Bears are at the Los Angeles Rams of Anaheim, and the Rams are a 6-point favorite. I am taking Chicago.
All right.
The Seattle Super Seahawks are a 3.5-point favorite in Arizona, and I'm taking Seattle on the road to cover those 3.5. I probably didn't say that right. Now, here's my question. So I made my picks yesterday, which was Wednesday.
I will honor that. I will honor that line.
Okay, at that time, Buffalo was a 13-point favorite at the New York Jets. The New York Football Jets. Let me be specific.
Fine. Then let me take the Bills minus 13. Because we always do this on Wednesdays. That's how it works.
That's okay. No.
I got no problem with it. It's the same as 12.5 anyway. There's no difference between 12.5 and 13 when it comes.
Oh, it's 12.5?
Yeah, it's 12.5 today, but 13 yesterday. I mean, 12.5 and 13 when you're taking the favorites, no different.
Okay. So I took the Jets in that. So I'm taking the Jets to at home. I do understand how bad the Jets are. Historically bad, maybe. Maybe they might beat Cleveland's record of going 0-16, and they might go 0-16.1 or something like that.
They might go -1 and 16.
Negative 1-16.
I think it's possible.
That's even better. Oh my God, I like that. Okay, so I got the Bears, Seahawks, and Jets. You have the Bengals, Bills, and Kansas City with the spreads, and that's it. Good luck to you.
Perfect.
We move to probably my favorite part of this podcast, aside from your reading the Green Solace read in the beginning of podcast.
Yep.
My second favorite thing is our comedy segment. And we keep calling these things segments, even though we do not break them up into segments. They're just other things they're just other topics that we talk about.
Yeah. I call them segments because I don't know how radio works or how podcasts work. So it's a segment of the podcast to me.
That's probably the correct terminology. I just don't know. Chris Distefano. Chris Distefano, a New York comic, had a special in the last, I don't know the exact date that this was released, but in the last few months or 6 months or something like that, I guess.
Hasn't been that long.
It hasn't been that long?
It has not. Oh, I know. I'm saying like it hasn't been that long ago.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Relative.
Within this year, at least. Size 38 waist is what it's called on YouTube. So if you've not had a chance to watch it, go check it out. Give us your opinion on it because we are about to give you ours. Chris.
Yes.
I'm going to let you go first because you share a name with Mr. Distefano.
So, Mr. Distefano, let me tell you one thing I've always kind of loved, right? I'm big into mafia stuff. I'm big into the New York deal. I've watched every Netflix thing that has anything to do with any mafia show, whether it be fiction, nonfiction. I've watched the full Sopranos twice. Like I've watched every episode of The Sopranos twice. I am a large fan of the mafia stuff, and he does a lot of fun mafia-esque. He did a couple little things with that, talking about his dad and I don't know, it was somebody worked. I can't remember the other person who was talking about it was, but anyway. So that was fun, right? And it was such a New York show. Like he's got the dude in the front row, and he's talking about, I bet you got a Yankees tattoo on your balls, and he pulls up his wrist, and he's got a Yankees tattoo on his wrist, and he was like, yes, that's so great. Like that couldn't have been any better for his special. It doesn't get better than that. So I liked him when he was talking to that guy. I'm going to tell you the one thing I didn't like about Chris Distefano. I felt like he talked about having ADD, but he had ADD before they had medicine for it or something like that. That dude, or no, he was selling them. That's what it was. He was selling them in his cheese. He was selling ADD cheese medicine or something like that.
Was it Adderall or something?
Adderall, yeah. Ritalin, Adderall, something. So the dude needed to take one of them pills before he got on this special. He was a little herky-jerky and a little woo. Yeah, he was either on crack, cocaine, or not on his Ritalin. One of the two. One of the three. So he needed to just slow down a hair. Like I felt like he just needed to, he just needed to take a deep breath and try to relax for a second. Because he was good. It was a good show. Like it wasn't great. It wasn't the best thing I've ever seen in my life. But he did a really good job. I was never cracking up out of my shoes or anything at him, but it was good. I'd give him like a 3.6. I feel like is that really good? Is that really good? Is 3.6 really good for me?
3.6 I think is pretty good. Yeah, what's
the rate? What is our ratio? Does it go up to 4? Does it go up to 5? What do we go up to?
5.
5?
Yeah.
I'd give 3.7.
7. Okay.
Yeah. 3.7.
I have not updated the spreadsheet in a very long time, but I have recorded on paper each.
Okay.
So at some point I'm going to update the spreadsheet.
I also want to know if he is gay.
He's not gay.
I know he's got a kid and he likes his Puerto Ricans, right? Because he's got a little half Puerto Rican, half whatever he is, little girl who's got the attitude. He does the Puerto Rican thing is so good. He does that so good.
He does.
And that was really funny. But he was talking about being gay. His dad called him gay a few times for stuff. And I was like, yeah, I kind of see why your dad probably called you that. Like you've got some mannerisms to you there, big dog. You like to do the little taking your arm at a bent angle and flicking your wrist so your palm's up in the air. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So not that that's a bad thing. I don't care if you're gay. Like I don't care. Uh, everything was just kind of off in his delivery. Some of his deliveries were a little off. And like, I think he felt like there might've been some more laughs and he didn't get them right away. And he just tried to go so fast into the next thing and it wasn't working, but it was working. If he just gave it the time to settle, let the joke sit, right?
So you're saying he had gay delivery?
Yeah, he had a gay delivery.
Okay. That's actually a Todd Berry joke. He said after a show one time, a lady came up to him and asked him if he was gay and he said, no, why do you say that? And she's like, because of your timing. He's like, so I have gay timing. Anyway.
He's got gay delivery. I feel like gay delivery is more realistic than gay timing though, right?
I don't know. I don't know what either one is.
Oh, goodness gracious. Sorry, I forgot. It's 2020. We're coming up on a presidential election. Be as total PC as we possibly can. I thought this was a podcast where we could speak our mind. I had nothing against people who like another. I don't have no problem with a man who has no problem with another man's genitalia near their genitalia. I got no problem with that. Do what y'all want to do. I don't care. But you know, you can't tell me that there's not a certain type of man that comes off that way.
I understand what you mean. I understand what you're saying.
Thank you, because I feel like now I'm starting to bury myself into a hole over here.
You're trying to. The more you try to defend yourself, the more you bury yourself in the hole. I know. I got it.
You know.
No. So
I'm not racist. I have a black friend. You know, that whole thing. When people say stuff like that.
Right. I work with a gay guy.
Yeah.
So I can't have any problem with it.
Exactly.
All right. So I did really like his impressions of Italians, the mafia stuff, and his Puerto Rican girlfriend at the time.
That was hilarious.
His stories about his dad, I think, were the funniest. That his dad is just such a funny character because he is that stereotypical. I mean, he's like a stereotype of an Italian New York mafia, just tough, just like almost like Adam Sandler was in Uncut Gems, where he's just wired to make bad decisions and not do good things, but he has some heart, you know, like he has a soft heart in there somewhere, and it can come out different ways.
Did you look his dad up? I looked his dad up while this was going on. I Googled Chris Distefano's dad. He's a little short, pudgy little dude, man. He's like shorter than Chris Distefano, way rounder than he is. He got like glasses. He does not look like a tough dude at all.
The story about him getting kicked out of school, and then his dad going back and getting him back in.
That was so good.
That was really funny. And
here's the door, Chris. Here's the deal. Chrissy, close the door. When he uses my girl name, when he uses my girl name, I know it's on.
He's like, you let him back in, easy breezy. And he's like, I was living up to the Chrissy name, thinking easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. And it's funny because every single time I hear someone say that, I absolutely think beautiful cover girl. I just remember the commercial.
Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl.
Thank you. Now, I like Chris Distefano. I think I said last week when we were setting this up that the first couple times I saw him, because I felt like he had that, like, because you can hear a little bit of that accent, the Italian New York kind of stereotype accent that you think of, and because he kind of looks the way he looks, he's a good, really good looking guy, and he looks like he's buff and in shape. He says he's really not. He just has like a body that looks like that, and if you wear the right shirt, it looks like that. I mean, I know people that can do that. So he just kind of like, I just kind of got this picture of him when I first saw him and first heard him do stand up. Like, okay, this is like one of those. He was probably a bully jock in high school, and he was, probably he's probably just this Neanderthal tough guy. The more I've seen him, the less I thought that. He probably has a little bit of that in him, but he's not as much like that as I thought.
Yeah.
As far as being a comedian, I think he's good, and I think he's getting better every time I see him. I think this was a pretty good special. I agree with you. I wasn't rolling on the floor. My stomach did not hurt from laughing after the thing, but he made me laugh a few times, and I think he's got something. I think he's got some momentum going because he's really blown up in the last couple of years, gotten bigger. He does frequent spots in the Comedy Cellar, and you see him on Comedy Central a lot because of that.
Yep.
So I think his career is on an incline. So I'm excited for him for that because I think he's going to keep getting better. And he said he never wanted to get into comedy. So I'm going to tell you this. First of all, I'll just say I'm giving him a 3.4. I already wrote it down, 3.4. Okay. So we're pretty close on this one. Now, I watched Tom Segura, guy we both love. He has a podcast with his wife, Christina, called Your Mom's House. Very funny. Chris Distefano was on that not too long ago, and I watched that after I watched his special. A couple of things I found out about Chris Distefano from this podcast made me like this guy a lot more.
Huge Knicks fan.
Nope.
Oh.
Even better, because I don't like the Knicks. So if he was a Knicks fan, I'd be like, ah.
Huge NBA fan. He's a big NBA guy.
Not even that. Played college basketball, Division III college basketball, and played in 2 leagues professionally overseas for like 2 weeks. But was like had to be a pretty good basketball player.
Yeah,
I don't care if it's Division I, Division III, NAIA. You play college basketball, you're pretty good. And then you have to be definitely good enough to go overseas and play. I know guys that have gone overseas and played. You have to be pretty darn good, and you have to have the right connections and all that kind of stuff. So maybe it was his dad and his dad's friends.
Connections, right?
Yeah, that got him in. Maybe he threatened somebody and got him a contract, and he got over there. And he said he played in Turkey for like 2 days. And then he played in Ireland or somewhere for like 2 days or something like that.
I've always heard Turkey, people that have played in Turkey said they didn't get paid. Like they struggled getting paid over there. Doug Gottlieb was talking about that, and he said there was a couple other people that they were talking about that. They just don't give you, they don't pay you.
I hear there are a lot of leagues like that because there are professional leagues in a bunch of different countries, and there are like 3 or 4 different professional leagues, and they're like kind of tiers. And if you don't get in the right one, if you don't get in the best one, there's a chance you might not get paid. And then you might not get to come home until you figure it out yourself or something like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I just thought that was really cool. And even cooler than that, this guy, now you heard him, you know his background, you know how his dad is. This guy has a PhD. Chris Distefano has a PhD. He has a PhD in physical therapy. He was a physical therapist. He has like he went to grad school. He got a PhD. His mom was like apparently the opposite of his dad. She was like super into education and he went to an all boys Catholic school like you and I did in high school. And he got like education was huge for his mom. So that was the thing he did. Like he hung around with his dad and knew his dad's friends and had some friends kind of similar to that and didn't get drawn into that lifestyle and still got a really high education and played college and pro basketball. Those things like just made me fall in love with the guy. So anyway, maybe silly things.
I love it.
But those were just cool things that I found out from him, and he was pretty funny on that podcast. And he and Tom Segura had a really good. It took them a little bit to get going, but they had a really cool chemistry. They were both being really funny with each other after a while. So if you haven't watched that and you get some time, you're on the road or something like that, give that a shot.
That one out, definitely, no doubt about it. All right, brother. Well, that brings us to two things at the end of the podcast. Number one, what are we doing for the Mount Rushmore of next week? We're doing sandwiches. We're doing the Mount Rushmore sandwiches, but I want to put something out there.
Okay.
This is not, we talked about it last week. This is not your Mount Rushmore of your favorite sandwiches. This is what you think the Mount Rushmore of sandwiches is the the most famous sandwiches of all time.
That's going to be okay. I think that makes it harder, but I'm totally fine with that.
Well, that's the point. I want it to be harder. If I just did my Mount Rushmore sandwiches, I'd be like, that's easy.
Then there's no reason to have any debate or anything like that because it's just your opinion.
Right, exactly.
I guess it kind of is anyway, but I got you. So most popular sandwiches ever.
Correct. And if it's in a taco, it's not a sandwich. If it's in a wrap, it's not a sandwich. If it's on a bun that's called hot dog bun, it's not a sandwich. If it's on a bun that is a hamburger bun, I consider that a sandwich. Okay? Can we say that?
Yeah.
I feel like stating those rules, we're good to go.
It has to be separate pieces of bread, basically, right?
Yes. 2 separate pieces of bread on either side of the sandwich. I've already got my 4. I've already got my Mount Rushmore. I'm ready for next week already.
That's easy.
No research needed.
I am going to have to get on.
I've got a fifth that doesn't make it, but it's close.
I'm going to have to get on sandwichreference.com, and I'm going to have to pull up tabs for every sandwich that I think it might be, and I'm going to have to do some real research.
You got to know what's got the most add-ons, what's got the best condiments, what's the condiment to meat ratio, what's the condiment to cheese ratio,
how many all sandwich
bread ratio,
how many all sandwich teams it made.
Exactly.
Whether it's in the Hall of Fame of sandwiches.
Exactly. How many MVPs?
Thank you.
MVSs. How many most valuable sandwiches? Yeah, obviously. All right, so that's that. So then from there, I am doing something I have never seen. I feel like I've heard this name before. This came out 6 months ago on YouTube. We've been on a YouTube Comedy Central full special kind of a kick here lately, and I'm sticking with it. This came out 6 months ago. By the way, the Chris Distefano just came out a month ago on Comedy Central's YouTube. So on the YouTube Comedy Central is a hipster-looking fella named Nick Thune. Good guy.
Yeah.
You've already seen it?
Yeah. But I love it. Nick Thune. I love Nick Thune.
So I hope this guy makes fun of hipsters like crazy because he's dressed and looks like one. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's like Chris Distefano would say to this dude, get the out of here.
I'm so excited.
All right. So Nick Thune, good guy. It's on YouTube through Comedy Central's page. Came out about 6 months ago. It's full special, hour-long special. We're in for it.
When I was in Los Angeles almost a year ago now, for our uncle's wedding, and I went to the Comedy Store and the LA Improv, I saw Nick Thune. He's been one of my favorite comedians. He's been a favorite of mine for a long time, and I got to see he and Chris D'Elia were probably the 2 biggest names that I saw while I was there, and I was so excited that I got to see him live. Love Nick Thune.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite, so from, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, he had an album that came out, and it was, I don't know why it's so funny to me. It's not a big deal, but like some people have such good names for their albums. If they have a funny name for it, Thick Noon. ThickNoon.
I love it.
Thick Noon. It just, when that came out, I laughed so hard at just the title. And he had a Comedy Central Presents a long time ago before that even, and it was you're gonna love. I think you're gonna love it.
So thick noon, is that got separate? Is that got like connotations? So when I think of thick noon, I think of noon is 12 o'clock. So is that like thick 12? Because when I think of a thick 12, I think of like Lexington Steel or somebody like that.
I think of a thick 12 pack of Coca-Cola.
Oh, I think
that's what you're thinking of.
Or a thick 12-inch.
Yeah, sub.
Sub.
Oh, don't do that now. Don't do that.
Sorry. Got back to that Lexington Steel thing.
Now, if you are listening to this on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, any iTunes, anything else, you're listening to it with your ears, you need to get on YouTube and at least forward to the second part of this thing at the end and watch it, because Chris just mimicked
eating a 12-inch
sandwich, holding a submarine sandwich.
I was holding a submarine sandwich to the mouth, ready to go.
Yep.
That being said, go ahead. What do you got?
No, probably one of the sandwiches that you have on your list in the Mount Rushmore, I'm thinking.
100%. It is one. They're the number one on top. And I'll tell you, I've got the four like staples on here. I've got the four staples, but I ranked them my favorite.
Okay.
But I've got the four. They're the four staples. But once they're on there, I made them my favorite. So the way that I like them.
So you like all four of those sandwiches?
Three of the four I'm super into. The fourth one I've gotten more into as an older person, which is weird when you hear what the fourth one is. You would be like, that's not what an older person normally eats. But yeah.
All right. Peanut butter and jelly with the crust cut off. There's nothing wrong with that. And
what it is.
Exactly. Diagonally.
I never cut any sandwich diagonal until my kids all of a sudden, like if I don't cut it diagonal, it's like, what are you doing? Why did you do this? What do you mean? It's the same thing, dude. It's half a sandwich. Eat it.
Yeah. What about never mind. You know what? I'm not even gonna do that because I think I have to put the one I just thought of. I think I have two of mine already now.
There you go. I'm going to tell you this. We'll spend more time on the Mount Rushmore sandwiches than we've spent on anything else on the Nosebleed Sports podcast.
Well, I took up so much time talking about point guards that my computer said, I am so sick of hearing your garbage about dumb point guards that I'm turning you off. I apologize for my computer. Because I had too many windows open. It was my fault. I messed
Adam, it's why we love you. It's why we love you on this podcast. And if I had my soundboard, I would add a snoring sound to the soundboard. So every once in a while, when you get into these like 8 hours of stats and I pull my phone out of my hand and I start getting on I just need to hit the.
We got to get that going.
I'm just messing with you, brother. It's all good.
I love it.
Point. I know it. It's what it's all about. That's who you are. You're the stat man. Let's go. I love it. That's why I love stats too. I just not to the extent where I'm talking about what was that field goal percentage ratio or what was that?
Effective field goal percentage.
Not when it comes to effective field goal percentage, no. I'm good with just field goal percentage. I don't know what makes your field goal percentage more effective than mine. I just take made baskets and divide it by total baskets shot.
I might be explaining it wrong, but it's basically factors in free throws and 3-pointers to determine how good a shooter a person is.
Yes, there you go. So field goal percentage tells you how good of a shooter you are because it's how many you made compared to how many you took. And this one effectively shows you how good of a field goal per shooter, how good of a shooter you are by taking 3 different field goal percentages and just adding them together.
But
It's
you
like
might be a
it's
great
like OB. What is it? OBP. Yeah, you have on base percentage, and then you have slugging percentage, and then you have on base plus slugging.
yeah.
OBP. Yeah,
And then they have OBP plus and stuff now, and
I'm good.
batting average of balls in play and all kinds of good stuff.
Sounds like fun. Sounds like a lot of fun.
I wanted to get into all that stuff. I'm not there. I don't know. I think it's interesting, but I'm just not.
Totally think it's interesting, and I think if I was a professional on that level, I would, and I was coaching a team or doing, I would want. There's a lot of stats I would want like that.
Speaking of
But I
that,
also can sit here and watch a guy and go, that dude is on fire. He's staying in the game.
yeah. Speaking of that, it was funny to go back and watch Moneyball, which I just did this past weekend. I watched Moneyball again for some reason. I saw it on Netflix and I just started it and I watched it. And it was fun because it's 20 years old now since
my dad was at that game. My dad was at that game in Oakland.
I know it.
He was at that
because he had extra tickets. He gave me one of the tickets.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's
You've got to have one.
I don't have one. He bought 3 tickets. It was him, my Paul, and my grandpa.
No, I thought he had like 8 tickets or something like that. I thought he had some extras.
I think he had 3 tickets, and he probably gave you one because he didn't need 3 tickets. Unless he bought somebody else or something. Oh, no, you know what? No, he did have extra tickets because at that game in Oakland, the Scott Hatteberg home run game, what was it, 20 wins in a row or 21 or 22,
20,
whatever.
Yeah.
My Uncle Paul was with him. And they were walking in, they bought the nosebleed seats as they were like up in, they don't even open that area up for Oakland A's games. It's in, what do they call it? Al Davis land. It's the 6th section up that they had started selling tickets for that they only usually used to do for Raiders games. And he had bought those. So he was able to get those tickets. And when he came in, I don't know if it was a security guard or somebody saw my Uncle Paul and was talking to him about where he's sitting and gave him better seats so Paul wouldn't have to go all the way up there. So he did have extra seats. You are correct. That did happen.
2 things. I just realized you're wearing an Oakland A's hat that I love. And number 2, Paul Witt went on a trip to Oakland. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Yep. Sure did. Paul Witt flew to Oakland and they drove back. Yeah. Was it that how it worked? Yeah, because my dad flew out there. Or my dad drove. Yeah. Because my dad just drove him out there and then they flew back. He dropped Paul and my grandpa off. What is that? Nobody cares about that. We can talk about that after we clear the podcast up. All right. Anyway, on that note, don't forget to turn your headlights on.